It still takes some getting used to.
Right. And we're live. Psych. So good
Oh,
morning, good morning, good morning. This is the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show with myself, Divine Moon Goddess, and my co-host, Oracle Empress in the building.
is it
Yeah,
Wednesday today?
today is it is December 1st. Today.
Oh,
December 1st, Wednesday. Yes. Awesome. We are in December. Holy shit.
right.
24 days till Christmas. Is anybody else scared?
No snow.
Well, I
That's
doubt
okay
I'll
with
get
me.
snow in Florida, but it is what it is.
That's okay with me. No snow.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I think I've been freezing with my 60-degree weather, and I think that's as low as I want it to go. Like, don't fucking go lower than that shit.
Is that what it's been out there lately?
Well, like
60?
this morning, it was like 60. I think it was like 64 or 63 when I woke up, and my leg was so stiff. Now, I did fall asleep in like the same spot, right? And so, but I woke up like my leg was just so stiff it hurt. And I'm like, what the hell? And it was freezing cold in the house. And I'm like, what the hell? They got the damn doors open and shit because everybody else likes the fucking cold except me.
Mm,
Aries is chilling. My daughter's chilling. They're chilling. And I'm
yeah,
like,
we're
hell
gonna,
no.
we're gonna get cold until Sunday, and then we go back into the 70s. So
Oh, nobody wants to deal with that shit.
70s are even cold to me, but I'll take. I'll
Right.
take.
I'm cold in 70. You get to 70 and I'm freezing. Sweater on. I got footies on and shit. I'm over here like people are looking at me like, really?
Hmm.
But I'm cold. So
So, what do you have for us to talk about today, ma'am?
today we are hitting the topic of light witch versus dark witch. Dun dun dun.
What's that? Glenda, the good witch, and the wicked witch of the north.
Pretty much, right? So we're gonna dive into this conversation of dark versus light, evil versus good, and all this good shit because we also have experienced our own stuff with witchcraft and spell work,
Mhm.
coming in as newbies with no one like to train you. You just hear a lot of crazy shit, right? And you have to make up your mind on what are you doing? What's good and what's bad, and karma and this and that. And you start hearing all
Mhm.
these terms flying around, and then so and so practice it this way, and Wicca does it this way, Santeria does it this way, Voodoo does it this way, Hoodoo does it this way, 21 religion does it this way. And you're like, well, what the fuck do I like? What category do I
Right.
what box do I go in right now? Right. So it's kind of like, okay, I don't fall in any of these boxes, but I like a little bit of all of them. So what's a light witch to you? What do you think is a light witch?
Oh man, what's a light witch? Um, I like to say that I don't think there really is any, right? I do feel like I get triggered for whatever reason with people who always say, not that say love and light, but they're always like, I'm only love and light, and it's
Only
like,
love and light.
yeah, like no.
No,
So
you're not.
when I think of a light witch, right? I'm thinking of, like in my head, I picture like this lady in her garden pulling out all her herbs and
Singing and
things like that.
humming.
Yeah, yeah, like just having this kumbaya with herself and in her little garden and
I
and
still
things
dream
like
of
that.
this
But
picture.
a lot of people I feel like say that like I'm only love and light, and it's like, no, you're not, right?
Right.
We wish.
Right.
Because then, if everyone was love and light, we wouldn't have any, thing to protect ourselves from, or any of the above, whatever.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good thing if that's what you're aspiring to to channel your energy towards. But I do think, again, like in the spiritual thing, like everybody finds it taboo to recognize their faults or their shadow side or
Right.
the ego that happens to come out.
Which it does all the time.
Right.
I personally don't believe in the term light witch, good witch anymore. You know, in the beginning, I was very scared because of coming from a background of witches and seeing my mom dabble in a lot of things. And my mom did, unfortunately, she dabbled when she was under the influence. So it brought a lot of
Mhm.
lower energies around. And those lower energies would scare the shit out of me. Wouldn't do anything to me. It's like they couldn't or something. I don't fucking know, but they never did shit to me. But it was scary, you know, to witness your mom being possessed, like real shit possessed. You know what I mean? Or seeing her kind of glide across the floor. And people think I'm
Right.
crazy when I say this story. And I'm like, no, when I got older, I remember asking this woman I refer to as my aunt. She wasn't my real aunt, but she was my mom's best friend. And when I got older, I was in my 30s, and I was like, before she died, I was like, tell me you remember me running to your door, banging on your door, and I was hysterical. And she's like, yeah, you know, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't crazy. I wasn't crazy. And then I call my brother up and I'm like, tell me you remember this shit. And he's like, yeah, I remember she was playing dominoes with dad and shit. And I was like, I am not fucking crazy. I was not the only one who witnessed this shit, right? So, you know, because I have this background where I saw a darker part of it,
Mhm.
heard my mom's stories, of course, of like my grandma, my great grandmother doing little shit and what she helped and practice with, which wasn't really dark. It just was she helped a lot of people with shit they couldn't go to the doctor with, they couldn't go to their husbands with, they couldn't go to their family with. So she
Mhm.
basically helped them, right? Help people in need, basically, if you want to say that, right? My mom kind of did the same thing. So it's looked at as wrong. It's looked at as dark. It's looked at as bad. But of course, my mom did have the bad stuff. So I was very scared of it, thinking there's a bad and there's a good, and you got to be good, you know, and the karma
Mhm.
attached to it. And if you do this and that, and trying to strive to be this good witch, like
Mhm.
I'm going to be this good witch. I'm going to be a good witch, and I'm going to do all these good things. But in this path, we are this close to murdering people. Literally, this
Yeah.
close to losing my shit in the Walmart line. We all have that ability. And what I notice is that what is stuck with me is my moral compass, not necessarily
Mhm.
bad, but it's what I was willing to do. And from the beginning, I said I didn't want to force anybody to do anything. I didn't want to make or force someone against their will. So in the beginning, I said, don't come to me for the come back to me shit spell, or leave your wife for me spell, or leave your husband for me spell. I'd never wanted to do that. That I just felt morally, not that it was good or bad, because it's not up to us, right? It's
Right.
not
Right.
up to me to say what your fucking karma is, your life is. That's your shit. But I felt like, you know, I should at least have my moral compass of what I'm willing to do. Far as being the good witch or the light witch, I don't believe in that, because there is a gray area in practicing. Because like I said, I am the one who's like, you touch a little kid, I will fucking take that karma real quick.
Mhm.
No fucking problems with signing up for karma if you touch a little kid.
Right.
Sign me up, dial me up. I'm there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And if I have a woman, which I have, I've had several women come to me who were abused or in an abusive situation. I have no problem signing up to help you get out of that.
Mhm.
That's where, and see, that's the thing where you like, okay, well, I'm still manipulating the energy to help this person not beat shit out of you every day, right? But
Right.
because that's what I'm doing, oh, it's considered you're a good witch. It's the same shit.
It is.
You can't pick and choose what you feel like is good and bad,
It
right?
is. It is. And there's also those things where people like where they want to get rid of somebody, right? Or they're trying to get rid of a boyfriend or a
Right,
mother or a friend or just trying to get rid of somebody. And the thing is, number one, we never know the whole story, right? People only like to tell us their side of the story.
right,
So there's always that second side. Number two, even that is a manipulation, because if this person doesn't want to go, if they're not ready to go, if they're,
Right.
we're also manipulating to push them out, which does at the end of the day have an effect on somebody else's life, somebody else's mind state,
Right.
and I think a lot of times, um, people want to be, this unicorns and glitter in their magic, right? I only ask for abundance. I only ask for, I only ask for this. I only ask for that. I only, cleanse myself or blah, blah,
Right.
blah. But the thing is I don't ever feel like, I feel like it's always up to the person, right? Of
Mhm.
what they're willing to do and what they're willing to have as far as repercussions
Right.
in the game go. Period. Because it's a game. At the end of the day, is you learn,
Right.
you figure it out. It's all trial and error.
Right.
So with that being said, it's like whatever. Even the people who do it, right? Because they're asking for that help either out of desperation or out of ego.
Right.
Don't too much get anyone who's just doing it because it's a beautiful day and why not do some magic? Like nobody like ever comes to you like, you know what, it was really beautiful out today and I just feel like maybe I need a cleanse, or maybe I
Right.
need to, do an abundance spell, or
Right.
something like that. You're either very desperate or
Right.
you're pissed off
Right.
or you've
Right.
been triggered, and that's where we kind of step in. And I think it's all about people's moral compass.
Right.
And I'm not here nor there to diminish anybody's moral compass on that. I can say what I absolutely want to do. Um, I can say that I'm not down for like killing people and sacrificing goats and
Like real
uh,
shit.
that kind of shit. That's a little too
Real
much
shit.
for me. I'm not doing that. It's a
Yeah.
little overboard,
Right.
like
Right.
I'll make somebody sprain their ankle or something like I'm not doing that. If I have to go out and sacrifice something and sit naked in my backyard to the full moon and all that, like
Yeah. No.
it's not gonna happen.
Right.
I do feel like a lot of times we get that where these people come to us and they're not telling us the whole story, and
Oh hell yeah.
it's
Hell
poor
yeah.
me. And the thing is so we take on whatever karma is going to come, right, or whatever is coming through that. And the sad thing is as somebody who casts spells for other people, we don't fucking know that until it's too late a lot of times. And that's what bothers me, and that's what has kind of pulled me back from doing spells for other people.
Right. Right. So one of the things early on that I started doing because of having the knowledge of tarot. Now, everyone doing spells doesn't have tarot knowledge. So I
Mm-hmm.
inform everyone that I pull, that I'm doing a spell. I say, I will pull the cards first and I will look at the energy and I
Mm-hmm.
will see what the energy looks like because it's going to come out. You can't lie to the card. Like you can't lie to spirit. Spirit's
Mm-hmm.
going to fucking tell on you. And I've had to tell many of clients, like, that's not the spell you need. That's not what you need. This is what you
Mm-hmm.
need. This is the way we're going to go. And I've had to tell clients that that is a karmic energy and I ain't putting my hands in that shit
Mm-hmm.
because there's some shit you got to pay back. I believe wholeheartedly in karma. It comes out.
Mm-hmm.
What in my past life regression, what did I see? I saw that not only was I very gifted in a past life, but I was very comfortable with sacrificing fucking goats and shit, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately I had to pay the price. You you end up paying that karma one way or not,
Oh
one
yeah.
way or another.
Oh
And
yeah.
so that's what made me like, I'm not willing to take on that karma for just anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not willing to try to manipulate and go against the divine plan for some fucking money in this moment. Oh, hell no. You can keep that shit, you know? But like I said, there are certain situations where, yeah, if I'm saving somebody's life, if it really comes
Mm-hmm.
out that this person is abusive, aggressive, and we have cards that shows us that, right? Then I have no problems, jumping in and helping out. But I will not touch something that is highly karmic. And now to where I've gotten now, my team will tell me no.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you'll
They'll say
feel
that.
it.
Yeah. And even if I'm like, but I really want to help, they will blow that fucking candle out.
Well,
So
yeah. I was gonna say they have a way of just not making it work. Like, nope, thank you,
they will
coming
blow
down.
that shit out so fast. I did one for this one girl. I had done a protection candle for her before. And this is months later, some shit happened. I don't even know the whole story, right? Because that's what people do. And then I pulled the cards. I didn't see anything crazy, but even I still knew that they were like, yeah, no. But I was just like, okay, I've done it before. I'm going to do it. Yeah, no, that fucking candle burnt crazy and it went out. And I was just like, not lighting you another one. That was clearly a no. And that's clearly I can't touch your situation because of that fact of missing details, people not telling us. And our
Yes.
teams know they get the goods, they get the whole situation. Even if we miss something in the cards or we overlook it and we just really want to help this person. Well, I've done a protection stuff, before,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not some stuff is not, you're not protecting them because it's shit coming back to them of what they've done.
Of what they've done, right?
Right. So it's like, oh wait, I
And
can't
just
put
to be clear, that we're not saying that anyone has deserved to be hit or abused or any of that. It's just like extra,
no.
extra.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not saying that
Other
anyone's
things.
like, okay,
Right.
yeah, someone should be beating your ass or anything
Right.
like that. But I'm talking about generally in the energy,
Yes.
unfortunately, shit that you do comes back to you. So if you decide,
Tenfold. I believe that.
a life is a life. And now some people will try to get on here and argue an ant, a fucking, grasshopper or whatever the fuck. I've killed many of roaches. Maybe I'll pay for that one day. I don't know. I am okay with, you know what I mean? Like all the roaches that I
Right.
killed. I don't feel bad for the roaches that I killed. Like I don't feel I wasn't sacrificing them, but hey, we can't live together. It's just like we can't live together.
It's weird as if you think about like all the movies that you've watched, right? Where there have been it's generally women, right? Generally women that are in the movies that are spell casting or witches or practicing voodoo. Do you ever notice that the women in the movies are always like alone and by themselves? Like, and that's what I kind of think. Like when you think of karma, and like us doing these things, there is that energy that we sacrifice in a way for other people. Um, and that's why I've come to understand some people who charge what they charge for their spells, because we ultimately do have that kind of it takes a toll on your energy, on what you're able to do with your family, on what you're able to give to other relationships, whether it's a good spell or bad spell. The amount of energy level or the alchemy change that it has just within us, is
Right.
huge. And I think too, like especially for the people that are very much healers and things like that, you do notice that a lot of them are by themselves. Like even in the movies, like they're just by themselves. That's because I think a lot of times we sacrifice ourselves for other things or other people. And maybe that's just meant to be where you're at in your life. Um, but I think too, like that is some of that karma where like if you're doing fucked up shit,
Right. Right. Right.
you might end up a fucking miserable, lonely
Right.
person in that way, like you've sacrificed that bit of yourself for something else. Um, and I get what you're saying when you're like, there's certain things that I'm willing to do and certain things. And you're right. There is a lot of, I believe, karma, good or bad, is going to come back tenfold, no matter how you look at it. What you have done to other people, whether it be this lifetime or the next, is going to come back to you. And I think
Right.
that's where a lot of people like jump to that ego of wanting things done when
Right.
like suddenly you want to banish this man from your house, right? Why?
Mm-hmm.
And I just noticed, because we all have these Facebook groups that we're in and stuff like that, and we read other things. And
Right.
there's one where the lady was talking about she just wanted this man out, right? She had found somebody else.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like, and that's where it is. So now you cheated. and you found something better, and now you just want to ruin this man's life and put him out and,
Right.
hot foot him to death over
Right.
there, which hot foot is a very great spell, but it also does cause chaos. So now you're trying to cause chaos to a person who has done not, I don't want to say they've done absolutely nothing because,
Right.
but you know what I mean? All of a sudden you're done, right? You're done with this
Right.
situation. And instead of being a grown woman and doing it the right way, you just suddenly wanted to cause this person chaos. Or like you said, the bring me back spells.
Right.
But what about a communication spell? And if this
Right.
person wants to work it out and it's meant to work out, then you
Talk.
talk about that
Right.
first. So I think we all jump to these horrible things, right? And then we're the ones doing it. And nobody's telling us the whole story. And yes, tarot is huge, I believe, for anybody to do a spell. A tarot, pendulum, sleep on it, meditate on it. I don't know, whatever it is that you do is what you do. Um, but that's where, that line gets
Right. Right.
real thin between things. And like you said, karma too, I do believe comes back in good ways. There's not only bad karma. There is that karma of where you did help somebody who actually really needed help, and
Right.
you can get blessed in your own way of that. I think I'm really tired of people feeling like they put their own expectations on things, and these are right and these are wrong.
Right. Right. Right.
But not like I'm biblical or anything, but a sin is a sin is a sin, right?
Right.
So how is it that, like, okay, well, I did this and you did that, but you're telling me I was wrong, but you weren't wrong. And, so there's just that judgment that people throw
Right.
on you.
That's why there's so many secretive people seeking spell work.
Help.
And we have a whole segment we'll talk about the closet spiritualist, right? The closet spiritualist, because that same person that's all like high and mighty then will down talk it. But then when it's your turn for something, you will go to someone. Oh, you know someone? Oh, someone's referred you,
Mhm.
and now you found someone. I need this person back. So I had a lady one time who reached out to me from someone had referred her, and she saw my love, and she's like, what is love strengthening, on my website? And I was like, okay, so love strengthening is something that is already established. You have someone
Mhm.
you've already established a relationship with. Maybe you guys are hitting a rocky patch. Maybe the passion isn't where it was before. Maybe the communication sucks ass. That's what we do. We work on what are some blocks in between you two working this out, right? I don't do, and I always tell people, I don't do, if he's already left you, he's with someone else, I don't do that. I don't bring them back to you, because I don't go against the path. If this person
Mhm.
is you're meant to be, I believe you guys will find each other, you know. And I just remember her like wanting her person back, and blah blah blah. And it was just like, it doesn't work like that, because one, you don't know if you guys are meant to be
Mhm.
together. Even if I pull the cards, I can't tell you that you're meant to be with this person. I can tell you that you were meant to know this person, that this person was meant to come into your life,
Your
but
life,
I
right?
can't tell you this person was meant to be yours forever. That's not up to me to say that. That's not up to me to do that. So I think it goes to the way that we practice. How do we practice? Wording is everything
It's
too,
everything.
because I can do a spell like that where we're wording it on communication, and the next person's just like, yeah, let's bring it back, or even banishing. Your intention has to be clear
I
on
do.
everything that you fucking say.
For whatever reason, I'm not saying that ancestors, guides, angels, or anything are illiterate, right? I'm not saying that. But for
There's some stuff
whatever
that they do.
reason, I get this feeling that when you write an intention or you're doing work and you're saying what you're saying out of your mouth and you're putting that that's what they go by. They don't be
Mhm.
like, no, she didn't really mean that.
Right.
We're going to twist it. If you're asking for somebody to be banished out of hate, out of anger, like I don't give a fuck.
Right.
They they they're taking you word for word on what you're saying. They're not gonna what's that when you were a kid and you would write a story and then you would like proofread it and
Right,
then
right.
go back? Like that's not how it goes.
Yeah,
I
no,
believe
no
whatever
changes.
comes out of your mouth, whatever, even feelings, that's a big thing too. Like if you're doing spell work out of anger and out of hate and out
Right,
of revenge, I just believe that they take it for what it is. I
right,
don't, and I know I don't want to say because they're not illiterate or anything like that, but they just take you for what you say,
right,
and
right,
that's how it is. Whatever even the emotion that you put into your spell work is
right,
huge.
right.
Is huge.
I think there's some not so nice ancestors that don't give two
Oh yeah.
shits. And the sec, oh, banishment, I'm there. Like,
Mhm.
got you. Say
Yep.
less. And you're like, wait,
Yep.
I didn't finish. I didn't say how. I didn't. Nope, banished.
That's what she said. Right. I'm not
Done.
here to judge. That's what you said.
I think you have to be clear. Like even when I'm doing abundance spells and money spells and things like that with people, when you're thinking about where is this money coming from, right? Where is this
Mhm.
abundance coming from? And I always ask, one, I'm not telling my team to do shit, right? So let's just get this clear. Let me tell everybody how I work, right? I ask for your team to step up. I call your team to step up for you.
Mhm.
I don't tell my team to do shit for you. So your team is the one stepping up. You may have some not so nice fucking ancestors ready to do some crazy shit for your ass.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm calling your team to step up for you and do what they need to do for you. But when we're talking about like money, the biggest things that I say is to always bring back lost and stolen money from the
Mhm.
family, because that is a place of where we can take that from. There's really no wrong, or it's already been stolen, it's already been lost, it's already something that probably was wrongfully taken, right? And so I kind of grab at that way of trying to pull money. The only other way I see it, because remember, we're manifesting something that's not here and we're doing
Mhm.
it in a way where we want it fast. The only other way you're going to be able to do that is taking away some blessings in the future. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
You want these blessings now? Guess what? You got to take it from somewhere. Has to come from somewhere.
Too, like that's true because like people think like these abundance spells or these money spells are just dropping you some cash right out of the sky.
Right,
And if
right,
you ever notice when you do them, it's likely that you're getting a check that you were waiting on. Um, you found out that you had a check from an old job that you didn't get that appears.
right,
You've been waiting on a decision for SSI or whatever, just something that you've been waiting for that comes to you.
right,
It's never like you just walk outside. Not randomly, you'll walk outside and you will, find $100 bill
right,
or something like that, which great. But when you do these spells, that's usually what I find comes
right.
out is that it's money that has already belonged to you.
Yes,
It's
yes.
money that, like, hey, you maybe borrowed somebody some money a year ago and completely forgot about it. And then they're like, hey,
Like, boom. I've
you
heard
know,
that all the time. It's like, remember that money spell you did? This check for such and such dropped in my account. I didn't even realize it was going to be there. That's the thing where people don't realize it's going to come from somewhere. You
mhm,
can't just we're just going to create money from nothing. You don't work, you don't fucking do shit. You just sit there and magic. Your ancestors are supposed to magically fucking create this money from nowhere. Now, sometimes it comes back in spurts. When you don't have something going on, it comes back in little five, tens change here or there. People don't see that.
mhm.
They're just like, oh, it didn't work. No, you've been getting a little change here or there when you need it. You just don't see the blessing, so you think it doesn't work. But like I tell people, it has to come from somewhere. Like even last year I did these little Christmas jars, and they were gold and silver. You remember those jars I did last year?
Mhm.
The intentions on those that I put for those blessings were to take blessings from my future to give to someone. You know what I mean? Because it has to come from somewhere. You're not just pulling
Mhm.
this shit out of the air, and people just think, okay, that's magic. Magic is using the energies, but it has to still come
Yeah,
from something. Even when I'm doing something for someone, I give them something to say, and I give them a guidance with it, because you can't just do this shit and expect it to work. I had one lady who her husband was drinking, and you could tell he had shit deep down. That's why he's drinking. So yes, we did the healing. Yes, he stopped drinking for what, a week or two. And it was just like, I think the next day she reached out to me like, is it supposed to work so fast? And he's like saying that the taste, the beer tastes nasty and this, that, and the third. And it's like, yeah, but if he doesn't find a way to deal with what's going
to
on,
deal
he's
with
going to
it.
go right
Mhm.
back. And then
Well,
sure
yeah,
enough, 2 weeks later, he went right back to the drinking. And I
that's
explained
why.
to her, I'm very like transparent when I'm talking to anyone, because I don't want them to have this false hope. And I'm like, do you still
Yes,
want to do it? Knowing that it can go back to, where it was. But it's like you can't, I would
you,
literally have to keep doing this spell for this person to stop drinking if they don't ever heal
and
to the
that's
core.
with anything. And that's why if you ever notice people who do spell work, if you ever notice their personal like area, they keep those candles lit, right? They keep it
Right,
going. They keep it going because it is something. It's that alchemy where you are changing something,
right,
but it doesn't mean that's forever. You still have to put either the work behind it or you have to
right,
continue to do it. It's
right.
like when you do a protection, right? And you do your egg cleanse and you do your ritual bath and blah blah blah. Doesn't mean you're protected for the rest of your life.
Nope.
You
Because the
have
energy
to
exists.
continue to do that because like you said, yeah, the different energy comes. So you bring, even when you do a spell, even whether you're bringing a man back or just doing the communication, if it's
Right,
not something that you're continuing to do or that you're continuing to work on the actual issue and problem,
right.
then you're just going to be paying somebody that money every month to,
Which people do. I've heard a
yeah,
lot of people come and they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, this person got me for such and such $1,000. I was paying them monthly." And I'm like, "Monthly?" And then when they would tell me what happened, and I'm like, "Did they explain to you why you were paying monthly?" No,
Hmm.
never explained to them that they had to continue to do this spell. That's the only way it's going to fucking work, because it's not forever. You're guaranteeing this person this, but you're not telling them the truth behind it, which is, okay, I can guarantee you right now, but next month you'll have to come back. you know, every so
Right.
you got to come back and pay me, because we got to burn some more. And me, I'm not into doing long-term spell work for anybody. It takes a huge toll on your fucking body. And I've gotten to where I've had to regroup and I've had to take time and rest and cleanse and release, energy, because you do. It's a wear and tear on you, the fucking energy that you're working with. And that goes, it's not a bad or a good thing. People have their ego. Some people think they're God because they can fucking manipulate some damn energy.
Hmm.
They don't give a shit about going against the divine plan, but I do. Some people don't give a shit. They're like,
What do you think about why certain practices get such a bad rap?
let's be real. Some of the practices come from Africa, and we already know how that went, right? We already know the African practices, and the rituals were beaten out of the slaves. So we already know that's the only reason why it was dark. The reason why it was dark is because they had to sneak and practice their rituals. So I
Hmm.
feel like it became a dark thing because it wasn't the norm, which was go to church and be Christian or Baptist or whatever the fuck, or Catholic. And then they had to sneak and do it. So it was them in the dark sneaking to do these rituals and stuff. And I think that is truly how it got a bad rap. Now there are some witches that got their name out there, right? Like Mary Laveau, which we know from New Orleans, if you've heard her story,
Hmm.
who big head people used to go to her for spell work. It wasn't like she was no small time sorceress, she was known for the work she did, and a lot of people went to her for a lot of work, but people get scared of what you don't know. So you automatically think it's demons. You automatically think it's this. No, it's not demons. You are able to manipulate the energy, as we all have the power to be alchemists in some way. It's
Right.
just practicing it. But I think, I do feel it stems from, because just because it's Africa. Because if you look at fucking Wicca, there's no real fucking backlash on that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Unless you're labeled as the Black Witch, right?
Right, right.
But
Yeah, of course there
so,
used to be that horrible thing where it was hang the witch, she's a witch, which I believe, yes, was
but
110%
we know it
tied
was
to
witches that
religion.
were killed,
Yeah,
right?
yep,
It
that
was
was that
more
religion shit.
if
And
you
it
were a
was
liberated woman, you got fucking killed, right? If
right.
you had a mindset, oh no, she's a witch. If you were just very seductive and this man fell in love with you, oh, you were a witch. Like, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that, it's had its way where it was kind of, and it still does with religion. Still, you get anybody who practices anything that's different than them, still kind of get that,
Right,
like, whoa.
right,
But I think so too. I think voodoo gets a
right.
huge stigma
Yeah,
on itself. And honestly, I think it really stemmed from the slaves and the slave owners being scared to death that they were going to get back what they had done to these people, right? Because they had stripped them of absolutely everything.
yep,
And then it's like, I know I did some fucked up shit. And
right,
now we got the slaves in the garage doing some shit, right? Like,
right,
oh fuck, I'm gonna get my karma back. So anything bad that happened, it was automatically had to be somebody else's fault, right? It couldn't
right,
be
right, right,
it couldn't just be the way things are.
right,
Um, and then I think like for whatever reason, I think when it comes to um like people who use the saints and things, I know voodoo has a lot to do with the saints, but when you're talking about the um people, the what is it? I don't want to say Orishas because that's not what I'm thinking. Saint Michael, Saint Jude, all that. They get a little more easy because it's
right,
a religion. It's Catholic. Like these were great people in the Bible. They were really good,
right, right,
people to study. And I just think it's hard. And I hated that being a person who practices hoodoo. Um, I hate that people seem to feel like I'm so dark.
right. The
No,
label.
because I've never claimed to be Glenda the Good Witch. Ever, 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 ever. And everyone who knows me knows that I do not hide in the closet in any way, shape, form, or passion and think that I'm like unicorns and glitter. I don't. I've always said that.
Right,
Like, I will definitely believe in karma. I will send you some shit your way if
right, right.
you push me to
I would
that
definitely
extent.
return to
Right.
fucking sender
Right.
without a
Returned
doubt.
it with no problem. But I just really hate that like people uneducatedly,
Right.
even friends or associates will be like, well, she's the dark one. And it's like,
Right, right, right. Because
why?
you've said that about a couple people saying that about being you, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
wait, where
Everyone's like, well, how is Divine so light and you're so dark and you two just work? And I'm like,
the fuck?
what the fuck do y'all think I'm doing over here? Like,
And I'm trying to understand where did they get that I'm just this all light being, right?
right.
Because I have think I've made it very clear that yes, I believe in karma, but there are some things in this life that I'm okay with taking karma for. And I just don't, I just don't do certain things. But we're kind of on the same level of the shit we will and won't do.
Right.
I don't get where I'm the Glenda the Good Witch and you're fucking the Wicked Witch of the fucking East and shit. Like I don't get that. Where
I
does that
don't
come from?
I
You
don't
know?
get it either. I don't get it either. And I think it doesn't, number one, it doesn't change what I practice, right? It's not going to ever make me change that. Um, which is really funny though, because in my North Node, it talks about how I struggle with how people view me, and that's very important to me in this lifetime. So
Yeah.
I think that's where I get triggered from. It's like I don't
Judgment.
like, why would you say that publicly to people who may not be educated on witchcraft in the first place? And now they think I'm over here throwing people in jars and, doing craziness. So I really like this subject because I do feel like it touches on a lot of things. And I hate that people have said that or have feel like that about you and I because we
Right.
definitely aren't like And I think we notice that like not everybody's going to be good. That's just the human in us, right? That's the human in us.
How,
Like,
yeah. We're all like one step like I say, we're all one step away from fucking murdering someone. If I had to
mhm.
choose my life over you, like, come on now, let's be fucking real. That's not Glenda the Good
Yeah,
Witch. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, come on. I do believe in, and it's like, I do believe in life. I do believe that life is precious. You know what I mean? And I know there's people that isn't, but it's like I don't get that. Where did they get that from? Like, where did
I
you
think
feel?
it's just, I think again, it goes back to the label. It goes back to the label of what they feel like. Because I don't only practice hoodoo, right? I don't. That's just what I've gravitated towards. That's what um, I learn a lot more. And you go with like throw a little pinch of this, spirit
I
told me to do a pinch of that. And so you got your own thing and I got my own thing, but I think it's the label. I really do. I don't think people are educated enough to know what voodoo or hoodoo is or anything like, to do that research. And you see it in movies, right? It's always this chicken bone throwing, sacrificing somebody kind of
right,
energy. And I think that's where it stemmed from was just the label of everything. And
right,
it's like how do you feel that way? And yes, I have very much so said things out of emotion where I have had no problem doing like we've talked about this before where I've done that or wanted to do that mind control kind of thing,
hmm,
but it wasn't for that. It was for my purpose of my, like getting my own money back. Like you owe me some money.
right,
We're gonna cut this shit, and you're gonna, like, and then you forever go on your merry way. I'm not
right,
controlling you because I want you back. I'm not controlling you because I
right,
hate you and I want you to trip and fall and
right,
have this shitty life. And so I think when I say things, and I think people put this label on that we have to be one or the other and nobody sees that there can be an in between
right, right.
this
Yeah.
thing. You have to be one or another.
No, because to me, there's you. I feel like you morally you can't pick and choose when you want to be good or
And it
bad
helps
in
to
this sense.
justify. I feel like it helps people justify their own shit
Right,
because the same person doing vanishing spells, without
right.
the knowledge or without, going too deep, but
Training or
same
any.
person doing vanishing spells, the same person doing a love me spell, the same person doing those kind of spells. I think when you can label somebody else's shit, it makes you feel better about what you're doing because in the back of your mind, you're questioning is this right or wrong?
Right. I personally have not done a banishing spell for myself or anyone else because when I do things in my life to remove, I set the intention to remove people, let them fall away or let them go away or, nothing like banish because banish is a very strong term for me, just in my gut. In my gut, that term to say to banish, it feels a little bit like it's gonna hit different, right? So when
Mm-hmm.
I do, normally when I'm doing things to clear my energy, clear my space, it's remove everything, everybody, every situation that no longer serves my highest good. Not in a way where they get murdered and killed and shit like that. You know what I mean? Just that, and they end up dropping off, falling away, something happens,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's why I go back to you got to be very clear on what it is. It's not like that we've never like me. I can't say that I've never thought about a honey jar
Mm-hmm.
like this. I've thought about it, but I've never done it because it's just like why? And I
What
have to sit and
exactly?
think about it. Like, okay, so you put his name in a jar, then what? Then he comes back, then what? Okay, so you have him, then what? If he didn't want to be here, the fuck am I going to make him be here for?
Right.
That's what would stop me from doing that. So I do have an irritation when I see the girls on TikTok and, write his name down 3 times and then write your name over it if you want him to think about you. You want this motherfucker to go crazy over you. Why? When you can go find someone who will
But then they
naturally
want the
go
vanishing spell after the man has gone crazy. You know?
It's like if you're gonna do this shit, educate yourself and the people who
Correct.
come to you. Because once I do this, right, this person ain't going nowhere. And then when he gets frustrated and angry because he's trapped and starts beating the shit out of you, then you're gonna want that banishing spell to get rid of him, right?
Mhm.
That's not fair because you imprisoned this person. I actually had a client. You know about this story. I actually had a client. And of
Yeah.
course, I won't tell anybody's name. Of course, we'll just say client. But I had a client who, went, found a witch, did some crazy shit to keep a person. And then when I read, and this person actually, when I read the cards, they had actually gone against the divine path and broke the person up with their divine partner, like someone that they were supposed to be with.
Mhm.
Um, and so there was a lot of karma in that. And so I had to ask my team if I could even help, blah, blah, blah. And I did end up helping, but it was solely to reverse it. And she had to take whatever karma, like there was no getting out the karma.
Right.
Like spirit was very adamant, like there's whether you do it or
Mhm.
don't, karma's coming to you. You know what I mean? Like, so, and the only reason she wanted to get rid of him was that because she wanted somebody else, And it was like you can't be a fucked up person and do this crazy shit and think that your life is going to be rainbows and butterflies. And you, as the spellcaster, have to be very careful what you're willing to do because
Yeah.
you too will end up having to soak in some of that fucking karma because someone's coming to you and you're telling them how to. Okay. And some of these people are slick. Oh, I won't do it, but I'm going to tell you how to do it. I don't even
Mhm.
tell people, I'm like,
Yeah.
go Google that shit if you want to learn. I'm not
Right.
telling you how to do it. Right. So I think you just got to be mindful about what is it that you want to be or want to do. And I think we all morally know what is fucking right or
Yeah.
wrong,
Right. Right.
But like I said, there are certain circumstances that I will take the L. I will. There are certain ones that I will, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But I won't do it just in the aspect of money. It has to be in the aspect of helping. If I'm truly
Mhm.
helping in this situation, am I truly saving someone from harm in this situation? And if that is the case, oh yeah, I'll take the L.
So, for new people practicing witchcraft or magic, do you think, because I know we all started from like nowhere, right? We didn't have anyone who taught us, at
Nope.
least us. Now, there's other people who got lucky and got taught this shit, right?
Teachers and
But do you think there is like this thing too where you have to be really careful of
your,
what you're doing?
your words are
Instead of just throwing some herbs together and lighting some candles, writing some petitions, it's like I really get. I mean, I know I've gone through it, right? But I do get nervous when I see people just starting and they're really not educated on the herbs or what the herbs do
right,
or um,
right,
what it means to dress that candle, light that candle, put that out into the thing. So, do you
right.
find it dangerous in a way for people to uneducatedly jump into magic?
Definitely. In the beginning, even though like we didn't have teachers in the beginning, I have done countless fucking hours and I would watch everything from a hoodoo, Santeria, Wicca, Norse. I mean, you fucking get it. I was like watching witch after witch after witch after witch, right? Comparing this person, same spell, this person comparing notes, comparing herbs, bought a fucking herb, you know what I mean? A herb book,
Mhm.
which is kind of like a herb,
Like
it's
a
like
Herb Gilmore in a way, like
yeah,
a
like, or if you thought of a herb dictionary, basically it has
yeah.
the properties, medicine and spiritual. You know what I mean? It's not just because you got to look at what you're doing, and sitting with that book and reading what is this herb. I'd go to the store, I'd buy herbs. And I always did intuitive shit. So if I went to the store, I'm grabbing shit intuitively, but I would still sit down and look it up. All right, why am I picking this? Why am I picking that? And we
Mhm.
had a bunch of people around us. Oh yeah, just use that, use that. And it's like, sounds good. No, no, thank you.
Mhm.
I had a bunch of people telling me that honey jar shit. It was just like, yeah, no, I'm good. Sounds good. If I, it's cool to know it should I ever need it. but no, I'm good, you know? And I think that, you know, you have to trust that gut. And that's where we go back to, you know, one of the other ones of having that higher self, that higher knowledge. You just kind of know something's not for you. You know, you can't jump on everything. You can't take everything. I think all of the different religions and backgrounds, we'll say religions, because a lot of them are religious
Base.
tied. Spell work
Mhm.
is not just spirituality. Spell work is kind of like structured. There's like colors and codes and rules and shit to most of this stuff. Me particularly, I don't follow anything. So I am what I refer to as I just free flow with my intuition. But that's because my team, my ancestors, that's how they have pushed me to do. Because
Mhm.
my grandmother, like, I've talked to a couple people like this. I'm my grandmother, my great grandmother is Cuban descent, but of course, you know, they have the African pull, that African tie, which Santeria in the islands is different from the Santeria people fucking practice today, where
Yep.
so got crowned and you got to go through this and all this
Oh
other
yeah.
shit. My great grandmother didn't do any of that shit. Do you think it made her less of a
Mhm.
witch? Just because someone didn't say, "Oh, you're the daughter of whoever the fuck," you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think for money reasons, a lot of these people took that and ran. But what my ancestors have done is pulled me away from the religious ties to my background. So, like,
Right.
we'll see a lot of in Santeria where they do the saints, they use a lot of the saints. My team ain't told me to grab not one fucking saint and use them. If I do the altar, and I actually don't really ask for shit, I don't do client work with my family altar. It's all
Mhm.
family on that one. And that one's all Orishas. So I feel like you gotta kind of step back and kind of let them guide you
Mhm.
to what you're doing and not just become the Pinterest witch, you know, not to offend nobody.
Mhm.
Don't just become the Pinterest witch where I'm gonna take this spell. I remember one time looking at a spell's recipe, and I remember going to the spiritual store. And I just remember like, yeah, no, this is not me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
take my breath and okay, where do I need to go right now for this is of what I'm doing? What do I need? And just allowing myself to be guided.
Allow yourself to, yeah. I
But you
think, with me practicing a lot with of course, my altar is Santa Muerte, right? So that's been my calling. And I always get kind of this shit, even from spiritual people or witches themselves who are like,
right,
why, what? She's, that's the
right,
cartel and blah, blah.
dark.
And I'm like, she's a woman of no judgment. And that's why the cartel has, been kind of glued to her, right? She is a
Right,
woman of fairness. She is a woman who comes in. She's big with court. She is, of course, death, but she is the woman of no judgment, right? No matter what you do, she's not a judgmental mental person. And everyone's like that, that I have to be so dark with this. And
right, right,
um, I think too, that's where you go back and you're like, well, a long time ago, I get the stigma that she has gotten, right?
right,
Um, and I don't feel that way. I feel very, very, very protected. But it's like you said with the ancestors things, like my grandma was like, oh, she was so worried about me doing it. She's like, don't you do that, and
right,
don't do this and don't do
right,
that, and um, but it comes with that. Like that's where I have been guided. That's where my
right,
kind of heart has rested. And on my altar, like it is like yours, like I have family. I have my passed over family that is there. That is my connection to my ancestors. I don't
right,
feel like she's my connection to any dark world that might be sitting out there, or like
right,
now I want to fucking get kilos of cocaine or anything like that. But that's my connection to my ancestors. That is where I come in. And then, for me not being a religious person, to know she kind of got shunned out of that
right,
that
right,
scene, like made me feel all the more connected in a way. Like
right,
I like you, lady. Like you got kicked out of the whole Catholic religion. Like
right, right.
we're the
Yeah.
black sheep of the family here. Come on over here, lady. Like I can deal with you. So
I think people
I
just
think there's just so much, and I think that too. Like nowadays with spiritualism, like everybody is like, you can't be,
right.
you have to.
You
Because
have to
I've heard
choose.
that her. Remember we were talking about where I heard that, where everyone's like, she has to pick you and you have to feel her and she has to come to you and she has to,
Right.
and it's like everyone has these things that they're putting on it. Like, you have to have a godmother, you have to be
Right.
crowned, you have to,
Right. You have to be assigned.
right, you have to be assigned something, you have to like be African to, indulge in this. You have to be Native American to use sage. And, don't
Right.
get me wrong, I do believe there's practices that originate from that, and that's a great thing. I don't think anyone should go and try to colonize anybody's,
Right.
history or practices, anything like that. But like you said, like, why is it that everyone like feels like if you don't have this, like you're less than, or
Right.
you can't be. It's like, okay, so if nobody picks me, like I just have to sit over here by myself.
Like,
Like
no chance. We're up
I
shit.
gotta wait, like it's the kickball game and I'm the last person to be picked, or what the
And we've come across a lot of quite a few people like that have the Santeria background. And in a second, I would talk about how Yemaya was the first one to reach out to me. It's like, "Ugh, you're not a child of Yemaya. Never said I was a child of
Mhm.
anybody. I just said she was the first one that reached out to me. You know what I mean? Like, and on my
Right.
I have Alegua, I have Chango, I have a bunch of them because like my grandfather and my great grandmother, and they're connected. And I have Oya, which Oya spoke to me very strongly. And Oya is a beast. And a lot of people go to Oshom, a lot of people go to Yemaya, but Oya is a beast, and I love Oya's energy, and I work with
Hmm.
Oya a lot. So I think you do get shunned. It's like you gotta, if you're not this, or you're not doing it properly, or you're not, and it's
Yeah.
like, even with the Moon Goddess Club, how we have literally worked with several different energies from all of these profound backgrounds, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and like Lakshmi, who's Hindu, or Sekhmet, who's Egyptian, or even Ishmael, who's a Mayan, from the Mayan. It's like we've done all these profound goddesses or Greek ones that their energy is beautiful and we've tapped into it. But you get these very, to me, they're religious spell, caster kind of backgrounds. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it became a money driven thing, and where now we have these rules and you got to pay dues, and now
Yeah.
you got to do these rules and you can't back out these rules, and I don't work like that. So I can't work like that. I got a free flow, and I free flow for my family. My family was like that, and I'm like, my people weren't no less spiritual or no less magical.
I understand pain for time, for pain for energy with that
Knowledge.
one-on-one.
Mhm.
Not necessarily, just knowledge, but when people are taking hours and hours out of their day, or just
Right, right,
to be grateful of that and not overdo it. What I don't like is the fact of you're now putting a price tag on knowledge, and if this person doesn't have enough money, they're no longer worthy.
right, right. Well, even like you've heard some people say like this energy is very jealous, and if you don't put this at midnight at this fucking
Right?
time,
Oh
then
yeah, I've been told that with Santa all the time, that I have to give her money. I have to.
right. It's like, look, I know a lot of these energies were human in the tale and the myths, but if we are tapping in, right, and this goes to the light and dark side, right? There's a light and dark side. Not to say these energies don't have an ego, because I'm sure a lot of them do, right?
Mhm.
But as loving as what I've come to see with a lot of these deities and orishas and things like that, I don't feel like they're just running around saying, obey me now. A simple thank you, like a lot of people talk about the altar. Well, what do I do? What do I do for an offering? I'm like, you know how long it took me to even get a fucking altar before I even had an altar?
Yeah,
Saying thank you goes a long fucking
long
way.
way.
Just saying thank you for everything you have done. And I would say this all the time, they know once I get my altar up, I'm doing this. And I have altars, I have fruits and vegetables and shit like
Yep.
that I do like candles or tobacco or whatever it is that I do for them. But they're not hounding me to go get a goat. They're not hounding me to go get a
Right.
cow and shit and fucking sacrifice. They're not telling me I got to go get a virgin and shit and do all this crazy shit.
Mhm.
I think some people, it's just like, do you think your offerings are better if you fucking sacrifice a life? You know, do you?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, where people are, because my altar is still on an end table. My altar is like cram packed because that's what I have right now is an end table.
I
I
have a
would love to get some beautiful bookshelf, table, whatever one day. But
right,
that's just what it is right now.
right,
Um, and there's a lot of people where I see altars and they have this and they have that and they have this
right,
and then they're like, well, your altar's not right. You have
right.
to have this and you have to have that.
Like, what the fuck?
And it's like, and then we had went through that one thing where I was told I had to steal one, right? And I was like, I'm just not comfortable stealing a statue, for my altar. Like I just thought that was weird. And then, you had that person who was just like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Um,
Right.
and then, you have like people who have said that, like I drew a picture of her, or I printed out a picture of
The
her,
picture.
or
Right,
or they've gone to the dollar store and gotten like, little skull things that were there for Halloween. And that was, and I feel like these people, these deities, these whatever, these saints, these orishas, the whatever, I feel like they know your heart.
right,
I
right.
feel like they know your heart, right? And they know that you'll get it together like sooner or later. Like, like
Because what if you so if you can't afford if you
then you're
can't
not
afford this crazy, we know statues in of any
horrible.
person or deity or whatever is crazy, right? Even trying to get them wholesale, it's fucking ridiculous on the prices, right? So you mean to tell me that every deity, every orisha, every energy that we're working with, every goddess that we're working with, if we don't get it, it's like all hell's gonna break loose.
Mhm.
And so I would have to put this out to you guys who are watching this. If your energies that you're working with are that mean or demanding, do you really feel like that's the energy that you're working with? I would have to question that, because I haven't felt that. Not one time with any energy that I've worked with. I've never felt like if I don't get this, oh my God, they're about to, you know what I mean? All hell's gonna, and I'm gonna have all this misfortune. I've been really good in the past
Yeah.
that I've been practicing. They've
And
always made sure I'm good.
that's how I kind of felt when I came into the Santaism is like, I would ask her for things, and she's been especially my go-to either for protection or for calling in money that was already in mine, right?
Right.
And then people are like, well, you have to give her this, that, or the other, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I forgot. Like, or I didn't get what I, was planning on getting in my head, or I couldn't make it to the
Right.
store, whatever. And so then everyone was like, well, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. And it's like, there is something, where you and I talked about the whole landlord thing, right? And
Right.
so there was some money that was owed to me. And I have been very worried about if some of the energy that's been surrounding me has come from the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I didn't repay this woman, or I haven't lit my candles, or given her enough attention, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
think that was kind of when this money came in and I kind of settled that debt. I think that was my reminder that she's telling me it's okay. Like
Right.
she's telling me, get your shit together first, and then
Right.
just, like basically kind of her saying, do better, just do a little bit better. Come and light me a candle. Come and, like if you can't afford it, you can't get to the store. If you can't, because like you said, those statues are hundreds of dollars for
Right.
something this big,
Right. Right.
and it's like, and it makes you, I think the other people make you feel guilty.
Yes, it's not them. It's
It's
not
not
them.
them. It's the other physical people that are telling you on social media or telling you that are your friends that what you did or what
Mhm.
you're doing isn't up to par. Or I know we hear a lot about people and their mentors or their godparents or they're this or they're that. And they're like, oh, well, I had to pay this person that much or this person that much. And I'm like, so if you didn't, are they telling you that you're not worthy of their services? When
Exactly.
I'm not asking anybody to open the book and teach me everything, right? I'm
Right.
not asking that.
Just lead me
When
in the
you do ask
direction.
that, when there's certain things that you are asking for like that, yes, I do believe that there's certain things that you have to pay for, right?
Right. Right. Right.
But to ever tell somebody like you just are not worthy of it, and that's what bothers me too about a lot of these spiritual classes that they have that are thousands and thousands of dollars.
Crazy.
And I
Right.
don't mean hundreds. I mean like you get
Thousands.
on there and like I've seen classes that are two,
Uh-huh.
$3,000.
Right.
And I'm like,
Well, that one lady has a whole goddess thing for like 6K, 7K. And it was like, what the hell? What are you doing in this damn thing? Like, what are you guys doing?
right. And
Six
that's why I loved that when we found that class with the yoga that was like, you know what? You let us know and we'll kick you a.
Right, right,
I love that. And I hope when we do what we're doing on our platform, I know we will, but just saying, I hope that we, kind of come to
right, right.
something where it's like,
I hope
we're willing to,
that.
because I just feel so bad for everyone who wants to learn and grow.
I hope everyone
And
charge ridiculous prices,
yeah.
right? And especially for some of it that's already pre-recorded. You know what I mean? Pre-recorded is different from live. When you take the time and live and the hours,
Mhm.
okay, some stuff is like, damn, the live classes I get, but pre-recorded, I feel like is so different. That
It
to me,
is.
you can service so many more people offering it at a decent price, right?
Mhm.
Versus skyrocketing the price. Now, I'm gonna just say like Zumba. Earlier this year in fucking March, I paid $300 so that I could learn Zumba at your own pace. But to get access to a lot of things, I paid an extra $40 a month for all year round, right?
Mhm.
Then in the middle, about 6 months after, for some reason they said my membership expired. I had to pay 100 and something dollars to redo it. So it was like, oh, because I didn't finish the classes at a certain time, then I had to pay 100 and some dollars. And I was like, come
Mhm.
on, these are fucking recorded classes. How many people do this shit? So I do feel like some people just it's overboard, right? And I used to have the spellcaster class. It was like $10 a fucking class.
Right.
$10 a class to teach some shit, teach you how to do some shit.
No, that's where I think I'm going. Like, when it's that you want me to teach you everything, right? You want me to sit down and give you that undivided time, energy. Um, it's hard for me because this is how I'm making my living, right? So it's not like I'm going to work and then I can chat with you for an hour here and there and teach you this,
Right.
that, or the other. Um, I feel like too we get it taken advantage of in a way because I can offer you books, I can offer you resources, I can offer you
Right.
websites, I can offer you people that I've learned from, whether it be YouTube, whatever. And then people are like, they don't want to do that.
Nope.
Okay, so
Nope.
you don't want to pay for my class, which
Nope.
is cheap as shit, right?
Right.
And the fucked up thing is we offer payment plans too, right? So it's like, okay, so that's big right there. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to read the books. You want me to read them all. And then you want me to tell
Right.
you everything, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so it's a give and take. And I do feel like there are people who are going to take advantage of that, right?
Oh
They
yeah.
want to know what you know,
Right.
for nothing at all. And then they kind of learn what you know, and then they just disappear off in the wind and you never hear from them again. It's like, okay, I got what I got.
Right.
Um, but I do think there's that line, of being fair with people and situations. And yeah, like don't take advantage. Like I paid for your course, you charged me another $100 because I didn't.
Right. Right.
You told me it was self-paced, and because I didn't do it in your pace,
Right, right. All of a
I
sudden, it's like, damn, another charge. And even though I got the yoga for cheap, it's about $60 a month. If
Mhm.
it's like a fucking 300-hour course. There's no way for me to breeze through that shit like that fucking quickly, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna end up spending a couple hundred because I'm not gonna be able to get through that fast. Which,
Everything.
granted, it's already worth it. And what I've learned in like 3 videos, you know what I mean? It's already
Mhm.
worth the $50 that I paid. And I think this is only my first month. So the $50 I put up and then the 50, that's $100. It actually is already worth it from what I've
Right.
learned in a
Mhm.
couple fucking videos. And I'm not even halfway through. So I do feel like if you're going to mentor, that's different. If you're going to, like, when you get to that coaching and that one on one time, you know what I mean? I feel like that's different than just asking me a couple questions or, hey, where do I look? And that's different. I answer questions like that all day long in my damn box. But when it comes to actually like sit and you want me to show you and you want me to teach you, that's coaching.
Yeah.
I have a package for that. You know, if you want coaching,
Mhm.
but you know how much mentoring I've have fucking done,
Um,
and those people ran off like, bye, toodaloo. I'm better than you now.
right. So last thing before we get off subject, what are some tips or advice you give um, for people searching for how to practice or what to practice? Like when it comes to, following what they're drawn to or what their ancestors have done, or like what are some tips that you say, like when it comes to somebody who's like, oh, I'm really interested in Wicca or witchcraft or voodoo or hoodoo, like what are some things that you tell them to
I would
be
say,
mindful of?
I would say one, anything that I teach or tell you guys, I always say, know your why. Why do you want to know this? Is it just for knowledge? Is it because you really want to practice? And then, when you do get it, what are you doing with it? Like, what's your why behind it? I think you got to know that. I think you got to know your whys because it's so easy to get lost in this shit. It's so easy to get misdirected in
Mhm.
this shit. And it's so easy to come in here with a bunch of fear and bullshit of what you hear and myths and all of this stuff because everyone has their opinion, everyone has their practice. There's so many levels, there's so many different ways to do it. Like we've just talked about, I don't know how many that we've just talked about, right? So when you're coming into it, you really have to figure out your whys first and then try to find someone who you feel is reputable to learn from. A lot of people you can watch and they talk and they have classes and this and that. I think you're going to have to spend a little bit of money to do your research or buy some books. Amazon has them, Barnes and Noble, how many fucking books we've got. I have a bunch of kitchen witch this, herb this, books, that have come from Barnes and Noble and Amazon. I think you have to do your research to an extent. Everything is not just going to go in your lap, even with your ancestors, tapping into your ancestors and allowing them to push you, you still have to do the work. you know?
Mhm.
I don't think I just think it's a very, I wouldn't say go in it with any fears, like, oh my God, now I'm gonna start talking to demons and shit. I think if you set
Mhm.
the intention, sure, demons will
That'll
come.
happen. Right.
I think if you set the intention to allow the higher level energies that can show you and assist you, I think you're good. But I just feel like you got to do some type of research. You got to figure out what is for you. Because
Mhm.
everyone talks about I'm not Wiccan. Even when I was smaller, even when I was a kid, I never just got sucked into the whole Wicca witch shit.
Mhm.
It just never called to me that way. So I think you got to kind of sit and see what's calling to you, right? What's
Yeah.
attracting you, and then look into it. I utilize YouTube a lot. There's a bunch of great YouTube witches that teach, have videos. Bahati Life is one that I always talk about. She was one of the first witches that I ever, watched on YouTube. I don't do
Mhm.
everything that she does, but she's a great manifester in her life. You know, I also talk about her name is Is it Yale? I always say it wrong. Uh, it's Yayo Botanica, which I'm gonna fuck it up, and people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, she didn't say that right." Her name is Alemi. Which, if anyone wants their information, just let me know. I will. Matter of fact, maybe I'll drop it in the description box so you guys can know. Those are kind of the two top witches that I've ever watched. One, she teaches Yoruba, she teaches African practice, she teaches hoodoo, voodoo, she teaches all of them because she's kind of studied them. And then Bahati does a kind of different practice. It's a little bit different practice. There's another witch. I think she was called the White Parlor Witch or the Parlor Witch.
I think that's something like that.
And I think she's more Wiccan. And I
Mhm.
did watch her in the beginning, but I stopped watching her just because I didn't flow with the stuff that she did. So
Yeah.
me, I'm gonna push knowledge. Do your research.
Mhm.
Don't just be over here lighting candles and fucking
Yeah,
chanting shit and
I agree. I think you should do your research. Um, I think if you are stepping into a practice outside of your culture, I think it's very important to be educated
right.
on what you're doing, because I do believe you can do it.